You're listening to The Gary Harris Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Storm, the high at 63. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 44 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
The Gary Harris Show. UCM hosts Tider Insider TV, Crimson Tide Kickoff, play-by-play for Alabama sports, and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for The Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Oh, yeah, baby, let's do this. Appreciate Barry and Whip going over a little bit long for me, and Chase plugging in a few spots. I'm running late this morning. I'll just go ahead and admit it. And it's not anything other than do that. Let's just say that I was hugging that pillow this morning, and I didn't want to get up. I'll just shoot straight with you, man. I just did not. But I'm here and ready to go. Actually excited about the show today and pre-Thanksgiving show. That's, kind of the thing that's neat about the Iron Bowl is that it comes traditionally on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and not always, but for the most part. And it's such an intense week, but you get tomorrow's like a respite. It's like, it's just a day to kind of spend with your family and be thankful and kind of give you a break from the week. And then Friday, man, boom, Black Friday with the shopping, and then boom, Saturday with the Iron Bowl. And then Sunday, one side is rejoicing, and one side's like, I think I'll stay home from church today. So, anyway, welcome to the program. I'm Gary Harris. I got Chase Brumfeld right there on the other side of the glass, manning the controls, taking your phone calls on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline at 205-342-9904. Good show on tap for you today, kind of combining Wednesday and Thursday since we don't have a show tomorrow. And please, if you tune in tomorrow morning waiting for the Gary Harris Show, don't be disappointed. I won't be here. I'm just going to let you know. So, but we got a good show today. The Coach Ellis Johnson at 9:30, breaking down SEC football. D. Orlando Ledbetter at 10 with the Falcons report, and then Larry the Music Man at 10:30. He's on his way to Graceland up there in Memphis to see Elvis's home place. So that ought to be special. And we'll be talking Iron Bowl. We'll be talking, the trash talk that seems to be going on from the Auburn side. We'll be, as I said, plugging in your phone calls. In fact, we're just going to go ahead. Let me mention before we get to phone calls. Bama basketball with a huge win in overtime last night over Houston. Alabama number 9, Houston number 6, 85-80 in OT out at the New Era tournament in Las Vegas. Auburn wins again. They're knocking out top-rated teams left and right. They beat North Carolina over in Maui. They get Memphis today for the championship. So Alabama women won again, blew out Clemson down at the Emerald Coast Classic in Destin. They're 8-0. Give it up for the Alabama women. Yeah. I mean, they're playing some really good basketball, so there is a lot going on. But we're going to talk to my friend Corey over in Trussville. He's been on hold since before the show even started, so we're going to go ahead and plug Corey in right here, right now. Good morning, Corey.
Good morning, Gary. How are you this morning?
Doing well, buddy.
The Iron Bowl is always a strange game in a lot of ways. A lot of it can come down to momentum of how the other team's playing. I mean, you've mentioned this week, what is the mental state of the team coming off the loss of Oklahoma? And, we just don't know. I mean, we can sit here and say, well, we think they've had a good practice. Maybe they haven't. And Auburn's coming off 2 wins that they've needed, and they're going to come in here hungry, looking to get bowl eligible and looking to break the 4-game streak Alabama's had over Auburn. And if Alabama doesn't come ready to play, they will get beat. I don't want to say soundly, but beat decently. But so Alabama's got to come ready to play. And the good news is that this game is at home, because if this game was at Auburn this year, I think all of us would be very nervous going down to Auburn the way this team has been playing recently. But I think the fact that the game is at home, you do it. I would still think Jalen Milroe is better than Peyton Thorne at quarterback. And Auburn still has a tenacity of turning the ball over. And I think Alabama can still pull this out. But it's going to be, if I was a betting man, I would not bet Alabama on the point spread, because we just don't know the mental state of how Alabama's going to come into this game.
Yeah, you said a lot there, Corey, and you're right. We don't know, and and you're right. We won't know until the game. What you'd like to think is that as poorly as they played in Norman, that you had to turn the page and nothing you can do about it now, and that's what they did, and that they made a commitment not to let it repeat itself. And they've been an up and down team this year, but when we've questioned them is when they seem to have played their best. You felt good about the Vanderbilt game and they got beat, and you really worried about going into Baton Rouge and they wore out LSU. You thought that they were in a good spot and they go to Oklahoma and get it handed to them. So now that everybody's questioning them, and most people are, and rightfully so. Again, that performance against Oklahoma was so poor that I get it. People are questioning this team, and so maybe they'll respond. I mean, you just like you said it right. We don't know, and Auburn is right now at the high point of their season. The way their season had gone, and listen, they were a play away from losing again. If that kid catches that ball that hit him right in the numbers, then they go to a fifth overtime. And maybe it would have been A&M's turn. I mean, you don't know, but he didn't. And in fairness to Auburn, they were probably due to win one like that. And they had certainly lost some that they should have won. And but now they're on a 2-game winning streak. They're playing their best football. They feel good and confident. And so it's up to Alabama to answer the bell, and come out and be ready to go. And it should be a good football game. I'm with you. I still give Alabama the edge at home. With what's on the line in terms of continuing their win streak over Auburn, this would be 5 in a row, and I'm gonna side with you, Corey. I think Alabama's going to get it done, but I'm also very much in agreement with you in that this team is it's a wild card. You really don't know from week to week what you're going to get, and you hope you get the good version of Alabama, the best version. And if you get the best version, they'll win the game, because I do think they're a better football team than Auburn. I think still over 11 games. 8 wins versus 5 wins. It tells me that Alabama's a better team, and but you got to get it done on Saturday. And as we see in college football now, and specifically in the SEC, the best team doesn't always win. Ole Miss was a better team than Florida, got beat. Alabama was a better team than Oklahoma, got beat. We've seen teams lose to teams they shouldn't have lost to, and that's probably going to continue this weekend in some of these rivalry games. You just hope that Alabama's on the right end of it. So we'll see, Corey. I think you make some good points.
If I'm Auburn, I'm running that same offense that Vandy and Oklahoma are running, because Alabama hasn't shown that they've been able to stop it all year. And then we know what DJ Durkin can do defensively. So, I mean, it's not that hard for Auburn to come up with a game plan. I mean, wouldn't you agree that they should?
Well, there'll be things that they do that they've based on film study from what other teams have done successfully. I mean, they have an offense that they run, and there's certainly elements of it that they can do, but they're not going to completely change what they do. They're a strong running team anyway, with Hunter the running back, and Peyton Thorne, I think, is a better runner than the Oklahoma quarterback. So, yeah, I think there's going to be a strong run presence, but they can also throw it. And Thorne, everybody continues to kind of dig at him, but he's playing really well. He's really playing good football now. So, we'll see.
I just hope that officiating doesn't come into this game like it has in the past.
Well, it's probably going to. That just seems to be the nature of where we're at in sports. And I've been a little rough on the officials at times. It's a difficult job. It's a thankless job. I get it. But it seems like there's very few big games in college basketball and college football where officiating is not an issue. And I'm with you. I hope it's not. I hope it's one of those games where you look back at the end of the game and you're like, wow, I didn't hardly notice the officials. I think one way to do that would be to try to throw less flags than more. But it seems like every rule that is put in for college football and basketball is designed to get more fouls called, more penalties called, more flags thrown. And I just think that convolutes the game. I think there's certain things that have to be called, but I think there's certain things that they need to try to make the games more penalty free. And I think that makes a better brand of football. You know the officials are out there, so there's never going to be complete lawlessness on the field, but sometimes these games just get bogged down because of all the calls, and it gets to where, as a fan, every time there's a big play, you're looking to see where is their flag. I mean, it's just almost like you've just become to expect flags being thrown, and I don't think that's a good thing, but we'll find out on Saturday.
Very big win for Alabama basketball last night.
Huge win.
I think they needed it. I'm not saying they lost confidence or anything. I'm just saying they needed it from a resume standpoint. When Alabama built this schedule, they weren't going to necessarily win all those games, that stretch they had, but they needed to win some of them to build a good resume, and this was certainly one of them that they could say, hey, we beat a good Houston team that plays good defense, that can score points. And now you got Rutgers today, who I guess you could say is a respectable team.
They're a really good team. They're a really good team. They got upset by Antoine Petway and Kennesaw State. Good for Antoine Petway and Kennesaw State, but Rutgers is a good team. And with Amore having transferred from there to Alabama, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. So that's one of those games where you're coming off an overtime game against a really physical team where you need to make sure you turn around and you're focused today, because this is a potential upset if you don't play well, because Rutgers is a good team. So, hey, great call, Corey. I got to hit the break, man. What's your I know you said you think Alabama's going to win. You got a score?
I'm going to go 28-17 Alabama.
All right. Thank you, Corey.
Good to talk to you, Gary. Roll Tide.
All right, we'll go ahead and take Jim just because he's been on hold, and then we can get to the break and come back with a short segment. Hey, Jim.
Hey, my opinion.
Sure.
For Alabama to make it to, theoretically, I guess they're number 14 because the Big 12 champions are going to pass them.
Right.
So 14. I think the easiest way is Texas must beat A&M, because if they don't, then both of them going to get in. So Texas beats A&M. South Carolina beats Clemson. That's at Clemson, but that's not the way they're playing. They could beat them. And Miami wins out, because that would knock SMU out from in front of Alabama. So now Purdue has to play out Indiana. So that could happen. But I think the most likely is Texas beats A&M, South Carolina beats Clemson, Miami wins out and beats SMU. Because SMU would drop behind Alabama and Clemson would drop behind Alabama. The only thing Alabama would have to worry about is South Carolina 2 spots behind them, leapfrogging them. So Alabama would definitely need to win impressively against Auburn. Because, like I say, if South Carolina beats Clemson, they could, in the final poll, leapfrog Alabama, and that would put Alabama back to 13 again. But I think there's a chance, like I say, because Texas is going to be the favorite. South Carolina, there's no doubt they can beat, Clemson, and then it would come down to Miami. Miami needs to win at Syracuse, because if they lose, they're number 6. They may not drop out of the top 12, so that would keep Alabama out too. So it's better for Miami to beat Syracuse and then beat SMU, and that's going to drop SMU out. But like I say, if Miami loses Syracuse, they may end up at 12, and then the ACC winner would be up there too. So anyway, I don't think it's far-fetched. I think it can be done, but you need to root for Miami, you need to root for Texas, and you need to root for South Carolina, and hope South Carolina doesn't blow Clemson out, because that would leapfrog Alabama, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course. First thing you got to read for is for Alabama to take care of business against Auburn. It all starts right there.
Oh yeah. I said Alabama not only needs to take care of business to keep South Carolina from leapfrogging them, they need to win impressively themselves.
Yeah.
And like I say, the other one is, the other one, the backup is Purdue beating Indiana. That's probably not going to happen.
No, I think that's the least likely scenario. I think.
Yeah.
Just gotta go play.
Yeah, well, Miami and Texas winning out isn't far fetched, But the third one would be, like say, can South Carolina beat Clemson, and then hope they don't leapfrog Alabama. So anyway, That's just me looking at it. I think that's their best
like you
shot to
said,
get
stranger
there.
things have certainly happened, and particularly in a year like this. So maybe it'll all fall into place, and Sunday Alabama will be not only an Iron Bowl champion, but looking at a possibility of getting the playoff. That'd be pretty cool. Hey, thank you, Jim.
All right, man. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, man. All right, 20 minutes after 9 o'clock, we'll take a time out. We'll come back and more time for phone calls in this next segment before we get to Coach Ellis Johnson coming up at 9:30. This is the day before Thanksgiving edition of the Gary Harris Show, and we'll be right back.
On the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Wednesday morning. Operation Iron Ruck is underway. It's a military-type march of veterans from the Auburn University campus to the University of Alabama. The goal is to bring awareness to veteran suicide. On average, 17 veterans a year commit suicide in the state of Alabama alone. The march ends Saturday at Bryant-Denny Stadium.
The Tailgate Show is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors, Skyland Boulevard, Tuscaloosa, and the new location, Highway 280, Birmingham. Online at academy.com.
As much as Innisfree has evolved, it will always be that place to escape and have a good time. Whether it's for a game day weekend, to reminisce on college days, or to create new memories, if you're looking for a good time, there's only one thing to do. Head to the Free at 1925 University Boulevard. And don't forget about the Lucky Lunch Meat and 3
Shop the best Black Friday weekend deals up to 70% off, only at Tanger Outlets. Save big at Nike Factory Store, Coach, Michael Kors, Under Armour, Polo Ralph Lauren, Kate Spade New York, and hundreds more. Find something for everyone on your list during our biggest sale of the year. Hundreds of brands, endless gifting options. Unwrap the best at Tanger Outlets. Stores open at 6 a.m. Black Friday. Get your savings at Tanger.com.
7 days a week. Located across from Sokol Park, the venue houses Finney's Pub, the second location of Rammerjammers, and Liza's Sweet Shop. Visit VenueTuscaloosa.com to learn more.
Life doesn't wait for when your finances are in perfect order. It just happens. But no matter what surprises come your way, Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. They offer an easy application process and fast decisions so you can stay focused on feeling good about whatever life brings your way. Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and
handled. Yeah, you do. Get Black Friday savings now with free delivery and financing on select appliances this holiday at the Home Depot. Offer valid November 6th through December 4th. U.S. only. See store online for details.
Since 2011, Billy's Sports Grill, located on Main Avenue in historic downtown Northport, has been serving their legendary signature chicken sandwich, award-winning wings, and handcrafted cocktails. Billy's is also the spot to watch all your favorite sporting events with big screen, high-definition televisions, both dining rooms, at the bar, and outside on the beautiful patio. Come by and say hello to Kim and Lisa, the Billy's Management Dream Team. Billy's, good food, good friends, and good time.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A partly sunny sky today, the high 66. Becoming cloudy tonight, showers and a few thunderstorms arrive after midnight, the low 54. Thanksgiving Day tomorrow, cloudy with occasional rain, possibly a thunderstorm, the high at 63. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 46 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
You're listening to The Gary Harris Show.
Goal line in, touchdown, Alabama.
On your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9. And streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
It's 9:24. We're back here on the Gary Harris Show, and I love the fact that we're going to get a little bit of a break tomorrow. Like I said earlier, it's just Thanksgiving. Christmas is a season. Thanksgiving really is about the day, if you think about it, because, you know, a lot of people work today, and a lot of people have to go back on Friday. And but Thanksgiving, as far as just a day, I do really think, in my experience, and this is going to be the first one without my mom. So I'm, having to deal with that. But Thanksgiving, for the most part, is the time when people do come together. And as I said, it's a heartwarming day. I think in the middle of all the craziness that's college football, or all the craziness that is just your normal life and job. And as I said, Christmas is more like a break, but Thanksgiving is just about a day. And, man, it's just a special day. You think about, like I said, sitting around with your family, eating that big meal, and then either going outside and playing football or watching kids run around. And then later on that afternoon, you hit it again. I always like hitting it at the second time, Chase. You know, let's say you eat your big meal at noon, okay? Let's say you eat your big meal at noon, and then you're watching football, or you're out in the yard playing football, or you're running around doing whatever. That second time you hit it, about 3:30, 4 o'clock, that might even be better than the first time around, man. You know, I mean, or, you know, some people eat a little later. Let's say you eat at 1, you know, and then you hit it again about 5:30, because it's all still out there in the kitchen. You know what I mean? It's covered up with aluminum foil, whatever, but the turkey, the dressing, the vegetables, the casseroles, the pies, the cakes, the banana pudding, it's all there. And you hit it that second time after you more than likely had watched the football, played the football, had a little nap, and then you go back, hit it that second time, and then by that time you're like, I'm never eating again. Do you ever do that, Chase? Do you ever eat so much that at the moment when you're finally through stuffing yourself beyond what you believe you're capable of, that you sit there and you say, I'm never going to eat again?
Every Thanksgiving, it happens, and then the next day I'm like...
Then you're ready to go again.
Yeah, the leftovers look good.
It's the third time, you know? Then it's... So you get the first big meal at the table, say the blessing, candles, the whole bit, and then you get the second meal, then it's all in the refrigerator, then the next day you get the third meal. That's when you bring it out of the fridge, and you heat it up, you know, and you make those turkey sandwiches. You ever do that?
Oh my gosh. Secret.
Yeah. I mean, it's so it stays with you. You know, it's the meal that Thanksgiving meal is the meal just keeps on going. All right, we're going to squeeze in a quick phone call before we hit the break. Come back with Ellis Johnson. Let's hear from our friend Philip real quick. Hey, Philip.
Hey, Gary. Yeah, you're right about Thanksgiving, man. It brings up a lot of good memories from, you know, playing football out in the churchyard, or playing church league basketball till all hours of the night or whatever. But it brings back good memories. But, you know, I think I remember back when I was in high school back in the late 70s and earlier than that was getting out at noon on Wednesday. I don't know when you got out. We always got out at noon on Wednesday.
Yeah, I think we got out a little early too, and it was and it felt good, didn't it?
Oh, it did, man. And I remember, too, high school football back then. Of course, I grew up in Lynette, still live there. Lynette and Valley High played, I think, the week before Thanksgiving. And then after that, because I always seem to remember the Alabama-Auburn game was the next week.
Wow.
Didn't high school football go on a little bit later then?
Well, not really. I think they might have played in the playoff game, but when I played in the early 80s, and even when I covered high school football the first time around in Alabama, it's always been kind of around on a Halloween schedule, Philip, for whatever reason. Like I said, they finished the high school season's always kind of ended right around that last Friday night of October, first Friday night of November type of deal. And you're into the playoffs you've always been into the playoffs by Thanksgiving. So now
I'm actually going back. Unfortunately, I'm going back earlier to
listen, if you go back earlier than that, maybe if you go back to late 60s, early 70s, something like that, it could have been different then. You know, you could have played less games, could have played deeper in the season. So, but ever since I've been involved with it, it's always wrapped up right around the regular season's always wrapped up right around the end of October, first weekend of November.
Yeah, because didn't you have Jerry Brown on your show one year?
I did.
Yeah, Jerry played at Valley High.
Yeah,
next time you see him, maybe we can ask him. But it seems like that Valley High Lynette game was always around the 18th or 17th of September, and then after that was the Alabama Auburn game. It'd be interesting to get Jerry.
Yeah, I mean, I find out because now you got me wondering if it was a different setup. It could have been. So, yeah, and you know, I tell you what else has happened. Now there's been some games throughout high school football, and I get to hit this break where would they be called Toy Bowl or there's been teams that have played each other that didn't make the playoffs, and they've played that has happened where there's been games played that weren't playoff games that were played during the playoffs. So there's some weird things that have happened. So y'all look into it, Philip. All right, give me your Iron Bowl prediction real quick.
I'm going to go with Alabama. I hope I'm just going out of all the positivity I can drum up, which isn't much. I'm going to go with Alabama 28-22.
All right, buddy. Thank you. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
You too, Gary. Thank you.
All right, we're going to come back with the coach, Ellis Johnson, next, right here on the Gary Harris Show.
Tuscaloosa's Old Colony Golf Course is an 18-hole championship layout designed by 1976 U.S. Open champion Jerry Pate. Director of Golf John Gray and fitting specialist Bob Montgomery are PGA certified. Mike Shivitz is the head professional and director of the Tuscaloosa Junior Golf Program. Call today to secure a tee.
Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. Just go to Babbel.com and start learning a new language today. That's Babbel.com. Babbel.com.
The flagship station for Alabama Crimson Tide football.
Alabama touchdown.
Only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 9:34. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show this Wednesday before Thanksgiving. And the coach, Ellis Johnson, is going to join us a day early. We appreciate that since obviously I won't be here tomorrow, and Coach probably wouldn't be breaking away to talk college football on Thanksgiving either. So we got Coach Ellis Johnson today. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Gary.
Rivalry weekend is on us, and we'll get into that in a moment, but we want to look back before we look ahead. And obviously, you know where we're going to start. We use the term laying an egg, which is probably unfair, but in some cases it does seem like it applies. And that to me is the best way to describe what Alabama did out in Oklahoma. I do want to give Oklahoma credit, obviously, but Alabama played so poorly in all phases. And I'm not a coach, and that's why I want to pick your brain. But if you watch the game, it didn't look like they were prepared. It didn't look like I had good game plans. It didn't look like they made adjustments. The players didn't look like they played with maximum effort. They certainly weren't sharp. It was just a disastrous performance, and even multiply that disaster by the fact that Alabama controlled its own destiny. You go in and win that game, and then you win the Iron Bowl on Saturday, and you're playing in Atlanta for an SEC championship spot in the college football playoff. It's inexplicable to me that this team played as well as it was, would go out there and play that poorly. Your take?
Yeah, you hit everything right on the head. And the only thing I would add in addition to it, we both know they prepared. We both know they studied the film. We both know they did everything like they do every week. But there's a lack of accountability or focus or discipline or maturity or something in this football team. And, I can't put my finger on it, but just not a football team that consistently plays up to their level.
Nope.
And you can have a bad game occasionally. But, laying an egg is being nice about it. This was a 500 OU team. And they're not helpless, but they've had problems with quarterback all year, and they played good defense, but they're not a real good Oklahoma team. They may have been that day, but they're not this year. So I was just really surprised. I don't know. It wasn't the only upset that weekend, but it was the only one that was just ugly.
And the thing with you mentioned the offense for Oklahoma. Fired their coordinator, Venables fired the coordinator a few weeks back. Jackson Arnold is a highly touted QB out of high school, but was known primarily for his passing exploits. Quarterback run. He ran for over 100 yards in the first half, and they just ran this looked like the same play over and over. And the back went for over 100. The quarterback went for over 100. Alabama defensively, to me, again, I don't know as much as you do. That's why I want to get your expert opinion. But I looked up on TV, I'm watching, and I'm not seeing anything different from Alabama's defense. I maybe this is too simplistic and I'm naive, but I know for me, if I'm a defensive coach, I'm thinking, well, we're not stopping this play, and they're really not throwing. They did throw it some and had good numbers, but not for many yards. I just think I'm going to put about 7 or 8 guys up there, and I'm going to attack that run play. And if they happen to throw one over the top on me, I'm just going to give up a touchdown because I'm going to stop that play. I didn't see Alabama ever try to do that, Coach.
Yeah, at some point in time, if something is giving you problems, you've got to make an adjustment and commit to stopping it. I wasn't able to see the whole game because of other conflicts, just different games coming on at different times, et cetera. But when you look at it, the passing game was not there. Jackson Arnold had brought some passing game back to Oklahoma when he came back a few weeks ago, but it wasn't there that day. And again, there was one thing that they needed to do, and that was get the quarterback stopped and running the football. And then, they're probably going to end up holding them to fewer points. But I mean, they did 18 first downs is not a good football day for an offense, but they scored 24 points, and they did it by exactly what you said. They did it by quarterback running the football.
Then on the other side, Jalen Milroe obviously did not have a good game. The Alabama did not establish any kind of run, and it looked like, we know Brent Venables is a really strong defensive mind. They did have a bye week. I'll give them that. But like you said, they watched film too, and they flat out took away Alabama's first option in the run game. They never were able to counter. It was just a game offensively, and we'll get to the blown call in a moment that maybe could have impacted the game. But Alabama offensively, what did you see there? Because, again, they just like they had no answers. Oklahoma, first, it's hard to win on offense when you get beat up front. I get it. And that defensive line for Oklahoma put a whipping on that Alabama O-line. But what did you see from Alabama and maybe what they could have done differently to try to establish something?
Yeah, they ran a lot of pressures, both pass and run pressures, fires, or whatever you want to call them, and kept the heat on them, and they didn't handle it well. In their defense, I think when you turn the ball over 3 times, it's hard to sustain any kind of drive to get anything going. Plays that complement other plays and set up other plays and so forth. But it just seemed like nothing was in place. I mean, they didn't have good success throwing the football. They threw 3 picks, and they didn't have good success running the football. So obviously the problems were mainly up front, but you still, in that situation, if you just take care of the football, then you got a chance to, somehow rebound and come back. But when you give them a football 3 times, it's very hard to overcome that, especially on the road against the SEC team.
You look at Milroe, and he is dynamic. He is a fabulous athlete. He is big. He is strong. He is fast. It's still just a 10-3 game at half. And he comes out, and I don't know if I put this as much on him as I do. First of all, Alabama's obsession with running this wide receiver screen that never seems to work. But they come out in the third quarter in the first possession. They try to throw that wide receiver screen. Obviously, the young cornerback had done his film study. He just jumped it. I mean, he knew based on formation what they were going to run. You could tell. I mean, he was up there in the grill, and he just jumped right in front and snagged it. But Milroe never seemed to rebound from that. And then he throws the second pick that he threw, which was completely on him on the out route, and he just didn't see the guy or threw it anyway. And then he compounded it by he's got a chance, as big, as strong, and fast as he is, to knock that guy out of bounds and at least give the defense a chance to keep him out of the end zone. And he just tries to trip the kid. And that's got Alabama fans, as you can imagine, Ellis, in an uproar. What was going on with him? And why would you not look at maybe taking him out of the game for a series or two to try to settle him down?
Yeah, unless they don't have anybody they trust in the pressure situation right there. It's exactly what Coach Saban did last year at the beginning of the season when he wasn't functioning. Just sit him down for a little bit, almost like you do a basketball player. But he looked very confused to me. Just looking at facial expressions on TV camera when the coach is trying to tell him something or talk to him, ask him something, it just seems like he had no answer. But that's just an impression. That's not anything empirical. I don't know. I don't have an explanation for any of it, Gary. Like I said, the biggest thing that concerns me for them is not that they're not going to Atlanta and that they got a heck of a chance of not getting in the playoffs. The biggest thing is this football team is not a very mature football team. I hate to keep using the same word over and over, but they're not a focused football team. Why? I don't know. Portal, new coaching staff, disciplined, undisciplined players, young players. I don't know what it is, but you can't play as up and down as they had this year and not have something. It's certainly not talent.
As we look ahead to the Iron Bowl on the other side, Auburn finally found a way to win one. I mean, they had a 21-0 lead. They lost the lead, and you said, oh, no, here we go again. But in 4 overtimes, now they got a ton of momentum coming in here on Saturday. They beat Texas A&M in a wild game, 43-41, and it ended when a kid from A&M had a ball hitting right between the numbers in the end zone for what would have been another tying 2-point conversion. But it gives Auburn a little juice. What did you see from them? And now, while we're looking ahead, kind of handicap the Iron Bowl coming up on Saturday.
Well, like you said, it's a tale of two different halves. I actually fell asleep and didn't see a lot of the second half. Had to cut it on the next day and watch it, and I'm almost in disbelief. I couldn't believe they came back on them. They were thoroughly just killing Texas A&M, and I thought, boy, they finally found out who they are. It's too late in the season for it to really mount anything, but then they had to win it in overtimes. I think it says a lot about these kids and their coaching staff to have been through what they have during this whole season. And then have a game implode on them right there in the second half, but come back in an overtime situation and hang through 4 overtimes and win that ball game. And wherever a player on the other team didn't make a play, or whether it did, but Auburn did make some plays. And they pulled it out in 4 overtimes. I just think it says a lot about these kids. I mean, they could have easily folded weeks ago, but they haven't. So, yeah, it might be a ball game at Alabama. Frankly, I think Alabama will be the better team and playing at home, and they will beat Auburn. But there's no question it puts some competitive elements involved in it now, because you know they're not going to come in there and roll over. They're going to fight to the end.
Yep. Should be a good one on Saturday. All right, let's hit some other games, and I don't want to look back as much as I want to look ahead now, because we're getting short on time, and it is rivalry weekend coming up, because everybody pretty much knows what happened last week. But one game I do want to touch on, very similar to Alabama's situation, was Ole Miss. Again, a team that we had put in very high esteem. I saw a lot of the analysts say this might be the best team in the SEC. And Florida, give them credit. They have been playing better. But Ole Miss, and I give Florida, again, like I do Oklahoma, I give Florida credit. But Ole Miss made a lot of mistakes in that game, and it cost them a shot at the playoff as they got beat 24-17. What happened there?
In my opinion, Dart's a bit of a gambler and a reckless player all the time. But he's a competitor. And I'm not trying to put anything on his shoulders. But I think a little bit of that caught up with him the other day. The story of this game is that Ole Miss's defense, which has been the consistent strength of their team all year long, they slipped a little bit. And Lagway coming back to Florida, even though he's not full speed, he's made a tremendous difference in that team. And what they were able to do offensively surprised me more than what Ole Miss was unable to do offensively. And, I think it wasn't an ugly thing to me like Alabama. I think they got beat by a football team right now who could beat a lot of SEC teams.
All right, let's move ahead, and I'm going to get back to the Iron Bowl before we close out this segment. But let's start looking at some of these rivalries, and let's begin with the Egg Bowl, another one that you're very familiar with. It's been on Thanksgiving night a lot. It's not this year. It's tomorrow or Friday, I should say, at 2:30. Mississippi State's had a miserable season. Ole Miss is at home in this one, but you've been a part of it. I always say Alabama and Auburn is a special rivalry, but I've never seen a rivalry any more intense between the two teams and the two fan bases, particularly the two teams. There's been a lot of incidents in these games between these two teams. Ole Miss clearly is better, but Mississippi State, can they pull something out of their hat in one game to give themselves a chance on Friday afternoon?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah.
They don't have enough defense to pull it off, I don't think. And, it is one of those games, man. They'll play it on Halloween because you never know what's going to happen. And there's a lot of hatred. I've been on both sides of Carolina Clemson. I've been on both sides of Auburn, Alabama. The hatred, personal hatred for each other in these alumni bases exceeds either one of those. But they're just not good enough if you're on defense. I don't see it.
All right, Georgia Tech at Georgia, also on Friday evening. Georgia Tech's a pretty solid team, and this is one of those now. Georgia's in the SEC championship game. They're going to play the Texas A&M winner, and they're headed to the playoff. But could Georgia Tech potentially derail the Bulldogs?
They're good enough if they're not. Georgia's not focused, and there's two things that worry me a little bit about Georgia. They may be looking ahead because they're guaranteed the playoffs. And the other thing is they've been through a brutal stretch, and they've got players out and players playing with injuries. And, I mean, I don't think they're the same Georgia they were 9 weeks ago. They've just been through too much physically. That would be the only thing that would concern me. I'd say mental toughness and so forth, they've got that, and they've proven they can play in some pressure games, especially on the road. They've had some big-time wins. Bringing Georgia Tech into their stadium, I just don't see Georgia Tech being able to pull this one off.
All right, let's get to Saturday, and we probably can't run through every game, so I'm going to hit the biggest ones. Let's begin with the mega game in College Station. Texas at Texas A&M. A&M, despite that loss to Auburn, if they win, they're in the SEC championship game. So there's still a path to the playoffs for the Aggies, and obviously Texas is, I would think, a playoff team even if they don't win this game, but you know they want to win it. This is going to be one of those that's boy, I tell you, first time they played in a number of years since Justin Tucker kicked the field goal in the last play of the game before A&M left the Big 12. What are you looking for here?
Yeah, you got two teams. I mean, there's only 2 games in the whole country that have top 20 teams playing each other. Both of them in the SEC. This, of course, is one of them. These teams didn't even play in this conference for many years. I do think Texas is a much better football team. Their defense is more consistent than Texas A&M's. I think Texas A&M's musical chairs at quarterback has had them kind of unsettled all year. I still don't know if it was the right thing, but that's water under the bridge. But I think Texas is too good for them. The one thing Texas A&M's got going for them, like you said, they got everything riding on it, and Texas doesn't. And it's going to be in a hostile, loud environment in Texas A&M. So it won't be easy, but I think Texas is a lot better football team.
All right, the game up there in your neck of the woods, my gosh. Don't know if I saw this one coming back in about the 3rd or 4th week of the season. South Carolina and Clemson playing. Yep. Both these teams now are in the hunt for the playoff. I mean, this South Carolina team, that defense has been nasty, and Clemson is and this is another one now. There are going to be a lot of emotions in this game, and they're both playing for a lot.
Their defense has been good all year and giving people problems, and the young quarterback Sellers has just consistently gotten better, mainly at taking care of the football. And he did have a pick last week against Wofford, probably unfocused or whatever. He's only thrown 1 or 2 in the last 6 weeks. So, I think people are underrating South Carolina. They do play at Clemson, but if you look at the history of this game, the home field has not really been that big of a deal for either team. I don't know which way to pick it. My son's on the Clemson team. I know who I hope wins because I don't want to listen to much whining all weekend. But, Clemson doesn't have to win this game. Gary, if Syracuse beats Miami in the Dome, which a lot of people can't play in that Dome, Clemson's going to play in the ACC championship game, and they may beat whoever else is in there, would be SMU in this case. So they don't have as much riding on to South Carolina. But South Carolina could back into the playoffs. They could win this one, and all the, next weekend, what breaks loose, and some other teams get 3 losses.
Yeah, it's amazing. All right, a couple other I want to touch on fairly quickly. Florida State. The Florida State season is a lost season, but it's at Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee. Florida's got a lot of momentum right now. The one thing Billy Napier can't afford to do is lose to this Florida State team, right?
I agree. There'd be a lot of cold water thrown on what has been a tremendous turnaround. I think their decision to stick with him the other day, right one, and he's proven them right. They're getting a solid recruiting class, and they're going to finish 7-5. If he just keep Lagway healthy, they'll beat Florida State 2 touchdowns or more.
What about Tennessee at Vanderbilt? Because Tennessee now back firmly entrenched in the playoff, but we've seen what this Vanderbilt team is capable of this season.
Well, the only thing, Tennessee's defense is too good, and they didn't show up at Georgia, or at least they weren't their usual selves, and they got beat. But I think they're too good for Vanderbilt, and I feel like Vanderbilt has really faded a lot during the course of the year. The physical part of it, their depth is not as good as a lot of folks. Even the quarterback, I think he's probably a little leg weary, probably been banged around a lot. I just don't think Tennessee will have a problem with this.
And also this weekend, we got Louisville at Kentucky. We've got Arkansas at Missouri, and we have got Oklahoma at LSU. Arnold, we'll get back to the Iron Bowl. For Kalen DeBoer, and you know the pressure cooker that is Alabama football. He has lost twice to unranked teams. If he were to lose the Iron Bowl, that would be 3 losses to unranked teams. Nick Saban lost to 3 unranked teams in his complete 17-year time. You don't want to lose the Iron Bowl at home. You don't want to snap a 4-game winning streak against Auburn. Obviously, Auburn would like to win the game, but for Kalen DeBoer, how critical is it for him in terms of maybe long-term he'll overcome it, but you know how it is here. He loses this game, he's losing his fan base in his first season. How critical is this game for Kalen DeBoer?
I think it's important. I mean, as you said, the main thing is the fan base is going to be forever split. If they lose this one, they're already got about a third of them who think it was a mistake. And nobody's going to get fired this year. But it may start to hurt. If your fan base is not behind you, start to work on recruiting a little bit. It's hard to overcome that. So I think it is important. They're obviously a better football team than Auburn when they're playing well. But as you said, they've already lost 2 unranked teams. And they played bad in a couple other games that they were able to just out-talent people. So Auburn's going to show up, and they've proven that they're still trying to finish this season and play hard. What they did last week, I think, is going to be a huge boost to them to be able to go into a tough environment and compete with these guys. I don't think they're good enough to beat Alabama at Alabama unless Alabama gives them the football game.
Coach, great stuff, man. And listen, we appreciate you, and enjoy Thanksgiving with your family, and we'll talk again next week.
Thanks, Gary. Always enjoy it. Have a great Thanksgiving.
All right, you too. 9:54. We'll break away and come back and wrap up hour number 1 right after this.
If you haven't already, you've got to try Tuscaloosa's unique breakfast, brunch, and lunch concept. Brick and Spoon, downtown Tuscaloosa, Timerson Square. It's fresh food with a Cajun flair featuring a full bar with build-your-own Bloody Marys and mimosas. Open daily, 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. Available for after-hours events.
I'll still be making the plays. You'll be making the bets. And finally getting the sports glory you deserve. The Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino. Play the game.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A partly sunny sky today, the high 66. Becoming cloudy tonight, showers and a few thunderstorms arrive after midnight, the low 54. Thanksgiving Day tomorrow, cloudy with occasional rain, possibly a thunderstorm, the high at 63. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 46 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Covering University of Alabama sports, as well as the national and local scene as well. The Gary Harris Show, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 9:57, and did not mention my good friends at Alabama Credit Union at the top of the show like I normally do, because I dove right into all my Thanksgiving thoughts, but I'll mention them now. This hour has been brought to you by Alabama Credit Union. Member-owned and not-for-profit, it really is just a better way of banking. Alabama Credit Union, discover the heart and soul of our member-owned credit union, empowering our members, enriching our community. Alabama Credit Union, loans for real life. Some rules and restrictions do apply. See if you're eligible for membership. Then join today and feel good about your money. And put extra change in your pocket. All right, that's going to do it for the first hour. Hour number 2 is coming up. We'll get it started with D. Orlando Ledbetter with the Falcons Report. Also, Larry the Music Man, somewhere up around Graceland in Memphis, Tennessee. More of your phone calls. Also, details again on our Friday at the Free coming up Friday at Ennis Free Hours Pub and our Bama Football Trivia Contest, courtesy of T-Town Menswear and T-Town Gallery in the University Mall. We got all that coming up in the second hour. The Gary Harris Show. You keep it dialed in right here. Tide 100.9 FM.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
On. It's Hyali. JAIALAI. It's an IPA. It's from Cigar City Brewing, our friends out there. It's about the taste, and the taste is phenomenal. It's bold, it's citrusy, and more importantly, it's beer. And if you're going to drink an IPA, you've got to drink Jai Alai. Or if you're a beer drinker in general, you need to try Jai Alai. I love Jai Alai beer. Lee DeLapp's had it. LeVar's had it. It is phenomenal. It's a great beer to bring to Thanksgiving. Look, Jai Alai, look, you're sitting around with a family member. You're trying to watch some football. They're getting on your nerves. You know what good friend is going to help you out there? Not one who's hanging out with his family. It's the one that's in your house. It's the one that's in your cooler. It's the one that's in your fridge. It's the one that's in your hand. It's Jai Alai. Jai Alai's unique naming was inspired by the international...
And food for half price will be available starting this Friday morning at 8 a.m. Log on to Tide109.com and click Seize the Deal for more details.
Los Tarascos has been serving Mexican favorites like burritos, fajitas, and quesadillas since 1999. Their new location is at 4100 Owen Parkway in Northport. And, of course, you can find Los Tarascos in Tuscaloosa at 110 Skyland Boulevard. The bar areas feature big screen television so you can enjoy your favorite sporting events. Los Tarascos features daily...
Or enjoy free shipping to your home on purchases over $25. Your new Academy Sports and Outdoor store is located at 4610 U.S. Highway 280 in Birmingham.
The Gary Harris Show. UCM host Tider Insider TV. Crimson Tide Kickoff. Play-by-play for Alabama sports and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show for hour number 2 right here on Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM WTBC. Your home for Alabama sports, and we're going to kick off this second hour with my buddy D. Orlando Ledbetter, Falcons beat writer for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, AJC.com. He's normally with us on Thursday, but we're moving him up a day, obviously, because of Thanksgiving. Good morning, Orlando. How are you?
Hey, Gary, how you doing today?
Doing great. You ready for a little? You get to take a little break tomorrow, or do covering a pro football team keep you from even getting a day off on Thanksgiving?
I was going to come to practice, but my wife said I never come to practice, so I'm going to load up today and try to make it to the game with everything I can get today.
Okay, good deal. I think that's a good plan. All right, we visited last week about that absolute just debacle that the Falcons had in Denver against the Broncos, 38-6, and how they're right back in they're going to have to do some work to win this division, but had a chance now to get their bearings with the bye week, and they're going to play a Chargers team on Sunday in Atlanta that is a good team. Got handled by the Ravens and the Harbaugh Bowl on Monday night, but this is certainly a team that's capable of coming in and beating the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday. How do you see this matchup?
Yeah, real tough, rugged matchup. The Chargers were in that thing. Then Quentin Johnston dropped 3 balls that killed drives, and the Ravens were able to put up a couple scores and make it look worse than it was. So Jim Harbaugh's got his team playing very, very tough. Running the ball, 18th in running, and then 23rd in passing. But their running back, J.K. Dobbins, is out with a knee sprain. He's probably not going to play Sunday. So, they're going to try to run it, but the people are going to change. It's going to be Gus Edwards and Kamani Vidal from Marietta, Georgia, and Troy State to run the football on Sunday.
Orlando, I want to ask you about just kind of the mindset of the Falcons. Obviously, during the bye week, as we talked about last time you were with us, you get a little break. Players get to get away for a few days. Coaches get to do all the self-scouting and all the tendency stuff and all the breakdowns. But I'm guessing, too, Coach Morris probably just had a message that, listen, it's a 6-game season now. You put yourself in position to win this division, but there's no guarantees. Do you kind of look at it like that with the Falcons having a little bit of a later bye week, is that now it's just this is a brand new season and we got 6 games to get where we want to go?
Yeah, no doubt, because they certainly played that way, stumbling into the bye. You want to say that was a one-off, but you can't because they really laid an egg in New Orleans too. So whatever the autocorrect is or self-correct, or forceful correct, whatever it is, they have time to do it now. And And they have issues all across the board. Defensively, certainly. Offensively, the offense has got to carry this team. You can't go in no games and not scoring touchdowns. No touchdown passes in the last 2 games. The whole thing was built around the offense. And the defense, dropping to the bottom of the league was kind of expected.
Right.
You thought the pass rush would be better and so forth. But, as the injuries mounted, they're starting to show signs of slippage. So, they got to score points to get a lead and let that defense have a chance to go hunt because they're not it's not a team that's just going to take people out.
When you look at the Falcons offense, and listen, they've had some explosive games, and Cousins has had some amazing games. He's also had some bad ones. And you look at their personnel, particularly at the skill positions. Is this Falcons offense underachieving a little bit, or do you think they're, where they ought to be?
No, they are. They were finding their identity, and they don't know what it was or didn't know what it would be. Throughout, as they were putting this thing together. But now 11 games in, hey, you got to run the ball. And then you got to play action off of that, which, we kind of thought anyway when they got in the pistol that first game. We were like, what is this? And so they've got enough data now to say, hey, this is our bread and butter. On Sunday, we're going to do this. And I think this is run the ball, and then throw off of the run. So that's got to be their bread and butter. You're not coming out to throw it around 40 times a game with Kurt. You want to throw it maybe 22, 25 times a game and pound the ball. This line was built for that, and that's what you got to do. You got 6 games left. Go do it. Run over some people and play. You're going to certainly play a physical team on Sunday and, make them pay.
You look at the Falcons where they're at, and I know they're thankful that they're done with the Bucs, and they beat them twice, so they got the tiebreaker. There's no doubt about it. But the Bucs are coming. How critical is it for the Falcons to win this game at home on Sunday against the Chargers? Because knowing that, tiebreaker or not, I mean, the Bucs are capable now of winning this division outright. They're only a game back.
Yeah, we ran the numbers, myself and Michael Cunningham, and we were like, okay, if the Bucs go 6-1 and the Falcons go, 2-4 or 4-2, that's what it takes for them to win it. And we kind of agree, like, the Bucs aren't that good; they can't do that. So for the Falcons, what they got to do is take one of these 3 games that they're not going to be favored in: Chargers, Vikings, and Commanders. They might be favored in Commanders now, but take one of those and then beat the Raiders, the Giants, and the Panthers, and that'll get you to 10-7, and you'll be in the playoffs. We don't think the Bucs are capable of running the table here, even though they do have a pretty easy schedule. But we figure at some point Baker's going to be Baker, and they'll lose more than one game here down the stretch.
All right, Orlando, we're going into Thanksgiving tomorrow. We're going to have really great pro football day tomorrow. But I want to ask you about the young quarterbacks and how in this microwave society we're in, social media, week to week, daily analysis shows all over TV. I mean, it literally, it's so fluid. I mean, today's toast of the town is a couple weeks later is trash if he has a bad game. We've seen it all over the league. They draft these guys high, and then they want instant results. Last year, Stroud looked great in Texas. Man, incredible. Now he's kind of hit a little bit of a sophomore slump. And the Texans are struggling. They just about threw Bryce Young to the Wolves, and now he's back playing well. We've seen it in Chicago this year, up and down. Jaden Daniels looked like a lock for the Rookie of the Year. Now he's hit a wall. And you got Nix out in Denver playing great. I mean, we just don't have any patience with the young quarterbacks anymore at all, do we? And it's different than, in the 70s and the 80s when you draft a guy. And a lot of times he'd wait, but even if he played early, you understood there were going to be ups and downs. I've never seen anything like it, and it's the nature of the beast. They're making a lot of money. I get it, but we just don't want to allow these guys to grow in their own time, and we decide who's good and who's bad. 2 or 3 games into their career, it's amazing.
Yeah, no doubt. It's like they didn't learn any lessons from David Carr and Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning was 1-15
That's
the
right.
first year. That was horrible. And David Carr just got lit up too much early on because they couldn't block for him. So it's the combination of developing the quarterbacks and putting the talent around him that's going to allow him to be successful. And see, the Falcons had that Matt Ryan's year. They had a running game, and they had a veteran defense that kept them in most games. They were able to win 11 games and get to the playoffs. So if you are playing a rookie, it's going to be, a tightly tailored operation. And we're not seeing that. They're trying to, to put this kid out here with a whole full operation. I'm talking about Chicago, and then he's trying to run around like he's in college. But Thomas Brown, the former Georgia tailback, Atlanta Falcons, Tucker, Georgia, has done a great job of tailoring him in the last couple games, which is what everybody said you need to do. You can't really throw him to the water, but we've seen that with Darnold and Baker Mayfield and those guys. So the smart teams are going to figure this out, stay with the quarterback, develop him, and then when he's ready to play, kind of the Patrick Mahomes model. You see that here in Atlanta where they're trying to do that with Penix. But, a couple more games of these no touchdown passes, and, maybe they pull the trigger there. But I don't see him playing the next year, and we'll see how it works out. Bo Nix is, another. He started slow with the small package. Now Sean Payton has found stuff for him to do that he can do and he can execute. He looked pretty sharp against the Falcons, throwing all those bubble screens and short passes, nothing down the field too much. But you got to do what they can. You got to tailor it to your quarterback skill set, and some are better than others in doing that.
All right, it's not easy coaching an NFL team. It's not easy being a general manager, and that's why we see a lot of these guys on television on these analysis shows. And sometimes fans kid about, I could do a better job, and sometimes I think they could. I mean, you look at Joe Douglas with the Jets, but to have the two New York teams be just disasters right now, it's not good for the league. Let's start with the Giants, because it's even worse that they were the Hard Knocks team, and you got to see this play out every week. Some of the decisions that team has made, man. I mean, when you look at McKinney with the Packers, you look at Barkley with the Eagles, and you look at Williams, the defensive lineman with the Seahawks, and then you look at Daniel Jones released and about to sign with the Vikings. How in the world does that GM and coach keep their job going to next year? Do they? Joe Shad, that's a bad. No, they don't, because Joe Shad should have been gone soon as Saquon Barkley ran another 70-yarder last week. He should have been gone. Gettleman was there. People, he was kind of old, ornery guy. They could have had Eli Wolf, Ron Wolf's son. I know he surfaced in Buffalo, I believe, but that's they got to remake both of those, and they had it. They had the transition from Coughlin to Gettleman. They could have. Jerry Reese is out on the street with 2 Super Bowl rings. He could have been their GM and ran that whole thing. Joe Douglas over at the Jets, supposed to be one of the great scouts of our time and good all-around guy. You can't find anybody say anything bad about him. And he took the Aaron Rodgers bait, went for that, and went all in there, and that didn't work out for him. They had the defense, but, developing Sam Darnold was something they couldn't do, and something that wasn't his guy. His guy was Zach Wilson. He took the cheese on that one and, tried to cut bait early. Both, it's a shame because the LA franchises are up. They've been trying to get the teams back in LA for decades. Now they got them up, and they're competitive. And the 2 teams in the first major city in the country are, trash. Yeah, it's unbelievable. And you're right with Aaron Rodgers. Douglas hitched his wagon to that, and that has not worked out at all. All right, Daniel Jones signing with the Vikings. You've got Darnold. You got the young quarterback out of Michigan. I don't really see the fit there on either side. Why you think Minnesota for the former Giants quarterback?
Well, Well, the coach probably thinks he can save him. Kevin O'Connell's one of the great. He was a decent quarterback in college, but he's got a good reputation in the league. And so, they're thinking, that makes them a little bit more versatile too, because they can run some RPO stuff with Jones if they can get him up to speed. They can help with his accuracy. Maybe you have a good backup quarterback, or you can teach J.J. McCarthy some of that stuff. But yeah, I didn't see that. I thought maybe Cleveland for him, or Baltimore, or RPO type team, maybe even Arizona. But yeah, the Vikings. That's probably O'Connell thinking he could save him and resurrect his career.
Wow, just season's already starting to wind down. It's amazing how fast it goes by with all the games. But I will say this. I know. Yeah, man. Orlando, with you being a great beat writer that you are, there's some flaws. You and I have talked about it, man. The quality of the game, the fundamentals, the way that they go about it isn't what it used to be. But the games are entertaining, exciting. We have one fantastic finish with all the errors. It's still, and I guess that's the bottom line. You've talked about it before. It's an entertainment league, and it's entertaining, and the money's being made. So I guess as long as it's working, there's no need to worry about whether they're missing tackles or whether there's enough contact in the preseason or any of that, right? I mean, at the end of the day, they're getting, Goodell's getting what he wants.
Yeah, we're gonna hold him to that though. The traditionalists, we still want to see good football. I don't want to see Drake London jumping off sides when you got the ball on the 1 yard line. So you can't. That's the 11th game in. First game, okay. 11th game in, you shouldn't be false starting in the red zone. So I need that cleaned up. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna always be that way. But entertainment-wise, there was nothing better than that Thursday night game with the Browns and the Steelers, and then the snow started coming down, and Jameis throws the interception, and he does his Jameis thing and leads them back down and wins. That was sheer entertainment. It wasn't great football, but it was fun watching them two teams go at it in the snow, and watching Jameis pull off his win, and then have the greatest interviews ever. That was awesome.
Yeah, Jameis is awesome. And he's another example. And who knows, maybe even Daniel Jones will be. Is that, I've talked about it. There's a reason these guys are picked number 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 overall. And just because they're cast off somewhere because they didn't come in and perform right away, there is second and third and fourth opportunities now for these quarterbacks in the National Football League, aren't there, Orlando? Because you're always looking for a quarterback, it seems like, in this league. And these guys now that have been around the block seem to get a shot somewhere down the line again.
Yeah, no doubt. And Kirk pointed it out here. He's like, well, I'm not worried about Penix. If it's 2 years or 3, there's always a need for quality quarterback play. So if he thinks he can go to 40, he thinks there's going to be a shot for him to play. So just heard it yesterday. It's like, hey, there's not a lot of great quarterbacks in this league. I mean, I don't see any Dan Marinos. Peyton and Brady have retired. So, the mantle's out there for, we got Patrick Mahomes, and then that's about it. So, yeah, teams are going, we thought Watson was going to be there. That didn't happen. Stafford's doing his thing, but he hasn't won a lot. He got him a Super Bowl ring, though. And Justin Herbert's 37-36. He looks like the greatest quarterback ever, but he's 37-36. So, yeah, there's room for some great quarterback play in the league. And hopefully the coaches and the scouts figure out how to develop the kids that are coming into the league a lot better so you don't have them out there on the field before they're ready to play.
That's right. It'd be nice if we could kind of slow the roll a little bit with these young quarterbacks and give them an opportunity. But with the contract structure the way it is, you draft one, you want him playing. That's just that's the reality. Hey, great stuff, Orlando. Have a terrific Thanksgiving. And if our viewers, I'm on the radio side. I'm not on TV right now, Chase. If our listeners, want to know how they can get all your great Falcons and NFL football coverage, let them know how they can do it.
Thank you. Our website is ajc.com. That's where the folks subscribe to our print and electronic products. You can find me on the Twitter at DOrlandoAJC. Thank you so much, Gary.
Have a great Orlando. Weekend. Appreciate you. 10:20 here on the Gary Harris Show. Hey, Friday's at the Free. I'll be live Friday morning at It's Free Irish Pub, and we'll have our Bama football trivia giveaway courtesy of T-Town Menswear and T-Town Gallery University Mall. We'll be giving away, these prints that we've given away from Tom Albatar and the crew over there at T-Town Menswear this year have been awesome. We'll continue to do that on Friday. And also want to remind you, too, that as we get into the new year and we get ready for any type of prom or dance or anything that you have at your high school, Tom is running that $99 prom special. So if you're a young man and you want to look great, he can hook you up for $99. How about that? T-Town Menswear, T-Town Gallery, University Mall. All right, we'll be back.
Every game all season right here on your home for Alabama basketball. The Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
The Alabama Securities Commission protects you from financial fraud. Anyone asking you for investment money must be licensed. You're careful with your money. Fraudsters aren't. Before you invest, call our hotline at 1-800-222-1253 to verify the licensing of the person making an offer and the product. Don't lose your hard-earned money. Learn to protect yourself at asc.alabama.gov. Paid for by the Investor Protection Trust and brought to you by the Alabama Broadcasters Association and this station.
365-24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow trucks, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. Now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's move over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on the roadside. And if you can't safely move over, please slow down.
Visit DriveSafeAlabama.org, brought to you by the Alabama Department of Transportation, Alabama Broadcasters Association, and this station.
Serving part-time in the Army National Guard has led to a lot of firsts for me. It paid for me to be the first person in my family to go to school. That education got me to the first day at my dream job, which I can still hold while I serve part-time. That job and the home loan benefits I got from the Army National Guard helped me buy my first house.
The place to be. Visit us now to save big and discover why so many are switching to BMW. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A partly sunny sky today, the high 66. Becoming cloudy tonight, showers and a few thunderstorms arrive after midnight, the low 54. Thanksgiving Day tomorrow, cloudy with occasional rain, possibly a thunderstorm, the high at 63. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 51 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Tide 100.9. For more coverage of Alabama football, visit us at Tide100.9.com or download the free Tide 100.9 app.
The Crimson Tide will not be denied.
All right, 10:45. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. We don't have a lot of time in this segment because we want to make sure we hit Larry the Music Man. But Alabama with that big win last night, 85-80 in overtime over Houston out there at the New Era tournament, Players Era, whatever it was. They play Rutgers today, but it was out in Las Vegas on the Strip. Here is some of the post-game reaction from Oates and the players from last night.
Yeah, before it's going to be a stage match here in Vegas. Coach wouldn't visit UFC earlier this morning, so that's the toughest, hardest playing team in America. Pretty much every night out. Last 5 years, they've got more wins than anybody else in college basketball over the last 5 years for a reason. I've got a ton of respect for how hard they play, how they do it, and without rebounding a team like that by 9, you got to have some tough guys on our team too. So Mo got 16 rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds. For us to get 20 awards, against a team like that, and that's what they got 16, which is a lot. We give up too many, but you look at second chance points. We always scored them by 2. The game was going to come down to we had to take care of the ball. We had too many turnovers, but we made up for it with our effort. And second chance points, we always scored them on second chance points. So we said if we could beat them at what they're best at. Second chance points, I felt like we could win the game. Now, it wasn't easy. Defensively, they're great. They put a lot of pressure on us. We turned it over too much, but we had some guys make some shots late. Our defense was great, both at the end of regulation and in overtime. I think they went 1 for 10 in overtime. Now, part of that, maybe they're tired, and I think we're probably a little deeper. And you get a guy like Diabate come off the bench, give you 28 minutes, and thought that was huge. So, Holloway off the bench, I thought made big plays on both sides of the ball. One turnover late, he got in there and got his hand on it when they were trying to go to the post up. So, proud of all our guys. Mark, was patient, let the scoring come to him, hit some big shots, got to the free throw line, made his free throws. We got to do a better job as a team making our free throws, but I thought Mark did a pretty good job. And Mo's 100%. So he's been working. Mo just stays with it. Going to be more proud of the entire team, particularly these two guys sitting next to me right now.
Any questions for players? Just players first. For either player, you guys overcome a first half deficit, go up by 8 in the second half, and then squander that. As the coach mentioned, the depth on this team, did that sort of help you not become deflated with few teammates, that late charge that you had? Two guys come off the bench, scoring double figures, sort of mentally where you're at once they make their comeback.
Yeah, I feel like it really showed when we went to overtime. We had so much depth in the game. We were able to really push the pace, and they really kind of couldn't handle it because they were so fatigued. But the depth on this team is really what makes it special.
Anything else for players? Local media back home, Charlie, if you have a question for players.
Yeah, for Mark, just going scoreless against Illinois, how good was it to kind of get things going and start off the tournament with a win?
My teammates really built me up. They constantly told me to keep shooting. If you miss the first three, they believed I was going to make the next four. So my teammates really uplifted me, and I can't do it without them because they gave me all the confidence tonight.
Katie.
All right, Mark Sears really did bounce back nicely last night after he scored no points against Illinois. He had a team-high 24 last night, and then Diabate was a beast with 10 points and 16 rebounds. All right, we got Larry the Music Man coming up. We're going to try to squeeze in one phone call. Is Ragged Glory ready to go now? Chase? Okay, hold on. He may be just talking to Chase.
100% satisfaction and appointments set around your schedule. Give us a call for all your steam cleaning needs. 205-553-9460. Houston Hydro Steam. Quality work you can stand on.
You see him on WVUA 23 covering sports and on Tider Insider TV on Tuesday nights. Don't miss a minute of the Gary Harris Show. Weekdays from 9 to 11 on Tide 100.9.
That's the piano lead-in to Walking in Memphis by Mark Cohen, because that's what Larry will soon be doing. He is getting ready to head to West Tennessee, to Graceland, for the King of Rock and Roll, Elvis Presley, the big stuff that's going on next week. Good morning, Larry.
Gary, good morning, man. What a song. I've got to be honest, we've been playing that all week along with Paul Simon's Graceland.
Yeah. Well, we already got some calls, but let's go ahead, kind of set the stage. You mentioned it last week, but kind of lead us in here to what you're going to have, while you're going to be heading up to Memphis.
Okay. I went in 82. I went when it opened. They didn't have near what they have now. Beale Street was under construction, and Beale Street is very similar to Bourbon Street.
Very much.
It's just a strip of 5-star restaurants and music, house bands. We're planning to go to BB King Club, and here their house band is really good. So we're looking forward to that. And the food is also supposed to be good. I'm planning on, we're going to go to Sun. May's never been. This is her Christmas present.
Outstanding.
In fact, I had everything laid out, and she's already packed everything, and we're going to head on. And I didn't know if I told y'all, we're gonna live in South Georgia. We're staying at the home place. I've been here since the storm. Atlanta's got way too far out for me at my age now, and I want to do some fishing and kind of live a little quieter life. So that's the plan. She's already relocated with her job here in neighboring town. So yeah, we got it under control. But the mansion now offers what we'll do in the morning, and are y'all going to be open Friday? You going to do business Friday?
Yeah, I'll be doing Fridays at the Free, and I'll be working the radio and the TV. I get one day literally tomorrow, Larry, and I'm on the 10 tonight, and I'll be back on the radio Friday morning at 9 a.m. So I get tomorrow, and that's it.
I'll do the tours at 10. It's a 4-hour tour. That's how broad this thing is now. They've got all his cars, his wardrobe from the Vegas days. You know how intense that was. The plane, the Lisa Marie. It's a 4-hour tour. So, and it starts at 10. And if I get any kind of opening, just a little bit, I may give you a call.
Okay, yeah, I do for sure. I'll be on the air.
Make it fun because we'll be able to take photos and. But then I'm hoping I can work Stack's studio in. I really want to go to Stack's, and it's a museum now.
Well, I bet you will. I bet y'all will. I got a feeling you ain't gonna leave many stones unturned.
No, we're gonna hit it hard, brother. It may be short lived, but it's gonna be good.
Hey, let's go ahead and take a phone call, Larry. Ragged Glory is going to be has been waiting to get through. Go ahead and punch you through there, Chase. All right. Good morning, Ragged Glory.
Hey, good morning, team. Wow.
Good to have you back.
Hey, you all just threw a monkey wrench in my gearbox. Larry, God bless you. Happy Thanksgiving. Gary, same to you.
Thank you very
Larry,
much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Safe travels. You're going to a place I've never been to and would love to experience that. I had a simple question for you all, both Larry and Gary. Have you ever heard of an Atlanta band called Gracie Moon?
Gracie Moon?
Yeah.
I haven't. Larry, you
a newer band?
Yes.
Not one from the 70s, because I know all the bands from the 70s.
Are they a club band? Like, would you see them at Little 5 Points? Or are they a little bigger than that? What did they play?
They were touring through the South. Okay. They are original, and the only thing I was calling for was if either one of you ever got to meet the band.
No, I haven't. I'm okay. Larry and I are pretty good between the two of us. There aren't many bands. Say the name of that band one more time, Ragged Glory.
Gracie Moon.
Gracie Moon. Write that down, Chase, if you don't mind. Before I'll look them up. I'll do
some research. So you got me on that one. Like I say, there's a lot of bands.
I just pulled them up. Gracie Moon, out of Atlanta. They're fronted, it looks like, by a female singer. Would that be right, Ragged Glory?
Yes, it is. And I just started diving into this because there's a long story, but I'll cut it short. The lead guitarist was, and I say was because God bless his heart, he died at 56, massive heart attack. But he was my best friend's younger brother that I met in Stuttgart, West Germany in 72. Wow. And I'm giving him a shout out because when I watch him play, oh my gosh, one of the best Southern blues rock guitarists.
What was his name?
Doug McCombs.
Okay, Doug McCombs. Well, I found.
Did he play with anybody else in the 70s in the Atlanta area?
I'm sorry?
Did he play with any other Atlanta bands in the late 60s and early 70s?
No, he did not. He came up through, it sounds like the 90s. The reason I brought him up, I want to give a shout out to him. For any listeners, He was
I'll check
my little brother. I taught him how to play bass and showed him some chords on guitar, and he just ran with it. And music was his life, and blues. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Well, I'm going to listen to this band. I found their page, Ragged Glory and Gracie Moon, Atlanta rock, blues rock, awesome is what they say. And I see they've got some featured songs there. It's Killing Me, Baby Blue, California, Do You Miss Me? So I'm going to listen to them after the show, and I don't want to cry. And I see some pictures. They do look like they got the look, Larry. They've got the, kind of that southern look. So, yeah, I'll check them out, Ragged Glory, and I'll give you a report on them.
What is their age, do you think?
They look like they're probably all in their 40s.
40s and 50s, yes, definitely. Doug, bless his heart.
It's real fast up there, Gary, the bands now. So it is really, they're probably a really hot club band in that, in the Atlanta scene.
Well, I'll check them out for sure. I'll listen to some of their music. I'm putting them in my phone right now so I don't forget. So I will check them out, Ragged. Well, that's cool. That's you turned Larry and I on to a new band, and I'll be honest with you. If I like them, I'll tell you, and if they don't appeal to me, I'll let you know that too. But I will definitely check them out, Ragged Glory, for sure.
I do appreciate that. Yeah, she sounds a lot, and she acts a lot like Janis Joplin did.
Well, I see the look. They definitely got the rock band look now. So I'll give them I'll give them a go. I can't wait to hear her voice. All right, Ragged Glory.
I want to wish you both happy Thanksgiving, safe travels. God bless your families, and we'll talk next week.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Great stuff there. Larry, I guess that's what's so neat. You're a musician, and I love music, and we both, obviously that's how we kind of got into the segment. We both have a pretty good understanding of the history of music, but that's a great thing, we haven't heard of every band. That's
and I'll tell you, I'm 71. It's hard. That's a vast market up there. I'm sure they're a really hot club band and doing that nostalgic that they're probably doing, a lot of 70s music and late 60s. But there is a band I will mention. I want you to check them out. Georgia Thunderbolts, man. They're somewhere between, they're Southern rock, somewhere between Blackberry Smoke.
Well, I'm putting them in there. Yeah, I've seen Blackberry Smoke a few times.
Man, you'll like them.
I'm really into them. In right now. I'll check them out.
They got a vocalist. He is very unique in style. He is very unique.
Well, let's get back to your Memphis trip, because you're gonna do it all, the Graceland tour, try to hit some of those studios, and I guess too, you'll be checking out the food scene.
Well, already when I went in 82, there was a place, I stayed at the Peabody. Luckily I could. Yeah. There's a place called Rendezvous.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. I've been there.
Place for ribs. They've been there since 48. It's right across from the Peabody, and you walk down an alley and walk down into a warehouse like it's the coolest thing, but I thought it might be closed. They're still open, and they got the head chef thing going on, kind of like your place over there, where you eat a lot, or all you guys country. What's it? Country Ale House. Yeah.
Yeah, you got Southern Ale House, of course. Barbecue.
Brett Garner. Yeah.
You got. Of course, you got Dreamland and Archibald's, and so there's a ton of stuff.
But we're gonna eat there. We're gonna have a drink in the Peabody.
Oh yeah,
that's some of it.
I've done all that. It's been a while, but I've done. I love Memphis. When I was living over in Mississippi, I got up there more often, and whether it be Bill Street or Overton Square or Rendezvous for ribs, stayed at the Peabody, saw the ducks.
Oh, so you eat that place.
Yeah, listen. I hadn't told you this. My late mother, who as we know just passed away in June, she was as big an Elvis Presley fan as there was on the planet. And in fact, she, in her living room, had framed pictures of Elvis. She had a 6-foot cutout of Elvis. And we went to Memphis and did the Graceland back before it's as big, like you said, as now, as long as it was. But I have been there. And so, yeah, I've experienced that. But she loved.
So you went in the early. You went in the early period of it.
Yes. And she loves She loves my sister and my brother-in-law, and I took her up there, and she loves some Elvis now. So yeah, it'll be
cool, Gary. I didn't know. I don't think you ever told me that. That's really good. You end up with a lot of her.
In fact, we did her 80th birthday party, and I got the pictures and the videos, and I put them on in 2023. We did, and the guy did a great job. My sister put her on a Elvis birthday party, and he came in and he did a marvelous job too. And well, just that was her last birthday. She didn't make it to 81. And I remember her telling me then that was her last hurrah, and I didn't want to believe her. I said, "Oh, mother," because she looked great and she felt great, and she was dancing with Elvis. And who knew less than a year later she would be gone. But no, love Elvis Presley. And
I didn't know you connected.
The people that hate on Elvis, I've never understood it. It's just the nature of some people. If you didn't like his music, that's fine. But he was flawed like we all are. But I mean, what a iconic, what he did for music and what he did for entertainers, and he's one of a kind.
Listen, Gary, if it wasn't for Elvis Presley, he was. I'm going to do this segment, like I said, next week. There's so much about Elvis people don't realize. A lot of his problem was the Colonel. I've done all the reading, the research on it. He was bound under his rules. The 68 special could have been a catastrophe if Elvis hadn't have got his way. Colonel wanted to make it a cheesy Christmas program, and when he did that song, ended that show with it, if I can dream.
If I could dream. What a performance!
Give you chills, and the Colonel was just fuming with all those executives. They just got up and walked out and left him. And Elvis had the guts enough to come back, and Priscilla Presley on this latest documentary, Elvis Lives, she said that's the first time I realized I'd ever heard my husband, because he did all them crappy movies when they got married.
The Colonel had a formula. You're right. He wanted the jumpsuit.
Yeah, she said that's my husband. Yeah. That's my husband. Entertainer. Yeah. She never saw him perform before.
People have never watched that 68 comeback special and if I could dream, watch that. You're right. It'll give you chill bumps. It'll when you hear that performance, man alive. Hey, let's get to Bryce. Push Bryce through real quick here. Chase. Good morning, Bryce.
Good morning, guys. Gary, I want you and Larry to give me a reason why I think Alabama could win this football game Saturday.
Well, I'll tell you why. I think they're a better team. Now, listen, they played like horse manure out there in Norman. We know that. But I still think they're a better football team than the Auburn Tigers, Bryce, and they're at home. I think Alabama's going to win a football game. Larry, what about you?
I do, Gary, but they've got a break from the committee. They need to take advantage of this. They could slip back into this thing.
Possibly.
Whether people think they deserve it or not. If they play good and beat Auburn good, they're back in it, I think, with some losses of other teams. I think Georgia Tech's going to give the Dogs all they want.
I do too, Larry. I do too.
Yeah, I do.
They're beat up pretty good.
I still think Georgia will get them, but yeah, it's rivalry weekend, man. It's rivalry weekend. These rivalries are special. And but Bryce, if it makes you feel any better, I feel like Alabama's going to show up Saturday. I do.
Well, if they play like they played in Norman, we don't got a snowball.
I'm hoping they won't.
In Hades, you know what I mean?
They're at home and they're playing their
state figured that one out yet.
I hope we get the best version. Hey, what about what? Real quick thought on Elvis, Bryce. Were you an Elvis fan or not?
I was. Okay. And what was y'all talking about? I just.
Well, we just talking. He's going to. Larry's on his way up to Memphis and Graceland later
today. Right, I knew he was.
We've been talking about Elvis, and we got to talking about that 68 comeback special, which I don't remember it at the time. I was only 4 years old, but I've gone back and watched it many times on YouTube. As I said, my mother was as big an Elvis fan as, and we were talking about that If I Can Dream that he closed out that show with, and it's one of the great performances by any singer in the history of music. If you've never watched it, just go to YouTube, type in If I Can Dream, or type in 68 comeback special, and you go watch that. him play that song, sing that song, and you'll get chill bumps. If you don't, then you're just not a music fan.
Was it in Vegas?
He wrote it. No, he wrote that. Yeah, I mean, it was in Hollywood, but he wrote that because of Martin Luther, Martin Luther King thing.
About
He felt, and the colonel says you don't need. He was rough on him, and Elvis says I'm doing it. He was bound and determined to do that song.
I do remember reading about that. He was
only 33. Elvis was only 33 years old when he did it. He was still a young man when he made that comeback special on NBC, and but it was special stuff.
Priscilla said she had never seen him so nervous when he came on in his leather outfit. He got through it though. He was totally. I mean, he hadn't been on stage in years.
That's right.
Those movies.
And
like you said,
it's a different kind of Elvis, and anyway, but it's great stuff.
Real quick, one time, I wanted to explain to you, ever since that 4th and 32, Hugh Hefner Freeze has been thinking about today. I mean, this weekend.
Well, they're going to be ready.
About how they got. They're going to come in there.
It was 4th and 31, but they're going to be ready. All right, give us your score prediction, Bryce.
31.
You got any confidence in Alabama or not?
It's not that I don't have confidence in them. I don't. Somebody I talked to yesterday.
Well, you've been telling me all year that Auburn was awful. That's all we've heard of you.
Well, yeah, but
season long that Auburn was terrible. They were horrible. They weren't any good. Now you're scared to death of them.
Well, not that I'm scared to death of them. It's somebody that I talked to and trying to think. Oh, it was one of the old coaches that was said that. Oh, they were talking to Charlie Trotman.
Former Auburn quarterback. Yeah. What about him?
Yeah. They were talking to him. The big guy that has the show has the afternoon drive in Huntsville.
Wes
the big
Neighbors?
lineman.
All right. Well, you're rambling on it. We got to wrap this up. Do you think Alabama's going to win the game or not?
They were talking to him, and he said he described it perfectly. It's like a box of chocolate, not the Iron Bowl. It's whatever
I don't know what you're going to get.
You'll never know what you're going to get.
Tell me real quick. Do you think Alabama's going to win the game or not?
I think they'll win the game if they show up and play like Alabama.
All right. Thank you, Bryce. We got to go, man. All right, Larry, we're out of time, my friend. But, if you get a chance, check in with me on Friday.
Gary, I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to pick you up a little nicety there, Graceland, boy.
I appreciate it.
3, The Bear is brought to you by North River Outdoors. Check us out at northriveroutdoors.com.
365, 24/7. You'll find road and utility crews, tow truck, law enforcement, and first responders working along Alabama's roadway.
We're making improvements and helping our communities stay connected.
We're working hard to make sure you're safe on the road. Now we need your help to make sure we're safe too.
Alabama's move over law requires you to move over a lane when you see flashing lights on the road.
Plus, get a $300 instant gift. Take 120 nights to love it or your money back. Get matched at Mattress Firm. Sleep at night. Restrictions apply. See store or website for details.
Are you receiving unemployment? Your benefits could be at risk. Here's how you can protect yourself and your benefits. Never respond to mail notifying you of a false claim in your name. Never answer a text message asking you to verify your account. And only respond to official Alabama Department of Labor's social media pages. Report fraud at labor.alabama.gov/fraud. Brought to you by the Alabama Department of Labor, ABA, and the station. The Alabama Department of Labor is an equal opportunity employer program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request to individuals with disabilities. Dial 711 for TTY accessibility.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
A partly sunny sky today, the high 66. Becoming cloudy tonight, showers and a few thunderstorms arrive after midnight, the low 54. Thanksgiving Day tomorrow, cloudy with occasional rain, possibly a thunderstorm, the high at 63. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 52 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
A national championship team covering a national championship team. The best sports talk in the state. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, 10:56. Welcome back to the Gary Harris Show. Just a quick note. Our friend Rick Carley from Rick Carley Good News on social media and former longtime Birmingham sportscaster talked with Gene Stallings' family. Coach Stallings recently suffered a 4th stroke, but according to his daughter, Martha Kate Stallings Gunn, she told Rick Carly that Coach Stallings is doing great. So, but again, at 89, we certainly have our prayers and our best wishes toward the Stallings family with him having recently suffered a stroke. But again, according to Rick Carly, good news, he's doing very well. Man, what a tough guy. Gene Stallings, 89 years old and still out there at his ranch in Texas, but we certainly wish him well. All right, that's going to wrap it up for this edition of the Gary Harris Show. Again, tomorrow we're off for Thanksgiving. You and your family, please have a great Thanksgiving. Back on Friday, I'll be live at Innisfree Irish Pub Friday morning at 9 a.m. for Fridays at the Free. Looking forward to that. I'm on TV again tonight and off tomorrow, but back on Friday, radio, TV, and then the Iron Bowl on Saturday, and we'll be doing our T-Town Sports Bama football trivia giveaway. All right, T-Town Sports Daily with Wyatt and Chase is coming up next. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy your Thanksgiving.